Good evening and welcome to the February 25th, 2025 combined rescheduled work session and regular meeting of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chad Brown and I serve as the chairman of the board as well as the commissioner of Riverbend Township. I would like to thank our viewers and welcome everyone and thank Spectrum and Cable and AT&T for making it possible for our citizens. For our television audience, live streaming audience, I would like to present your Gaston County Commission beginning on my far right.
Alan Fraley, Cherville Township.
Scott Sheehan, Gastonia Township.
Jim Bailey, South Point Township.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Cloninger, Dallas Township.
Bob Hovis, Crowders Mountain Township.
Good evening, Tom Kigger, Gastonia Township.
I want to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. We will start with the invocation and a special Pledge of Allegiance tonight. So if you'll please stand with me while Commissioner Hovis gives the invocation.
If you would all bow for a moment, I'd like to have a moment of silence. A community leader in Bessemer City, very well known, that ran a business downtown, I know, for 15 years, Otis Whitehurst, had a coronary event and passed away today. So I'd like to have a moment of silence before I offer invocation. Gracious Father, we come to you to take care of the business of Gaston County tonight. We come looking for your divine inspiration. God, you have the answers. We can only try to understand how we can be a part of that answer. Father, continue to bless this county and to look after the folks in the county who find themselves with mental, physical, and other afflictions. Father, please help them to meet their daily struggles and help their families to meet their daily needs. Father, we ask that in Christ's name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a special person here tonight to lead us in the pledge, and I'm going to let him introduce himself first.
Hello, my name is Max Planer. I'm in 5th grade. I'm 11, and I go to John Carlson School in Charlotte. Please follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And can I get everybody just to stay up for a second and get a picture with Max and your family? Welcome up.
Come to your right, Tom. Tom, to your right. Keep going, Tom. Keep going. Yeah, good. There you go. Take the lens cap off. Tom broke it. Max, you did a great job, though. I want to tell you, that was awesome. Absolutely. So did you, little bro.
Yes, so what do you say?
Sorry.
All right, count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, hold on, for the family. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
The next item on the agenda is proclamations, commendations, awards, and certificates. Commissioner Kieger will now come for the commendation to commend the Heart Society of Gaston County and to proclaim February as American Heart Month in Gaston County. Commissioner Kieger.
At this time, I'd like to ask Renee Anthony, Pat Lanier, and Art Spencer if you would join me. I believe Art's the chairman of their board this year, and these are the sole employees of the organization. And they just had a very successful heart ball. I don't know, what did we raise? $85,000, so it was pretty successful. Come on back here so the camera can get you. Whereas cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death in the United States, affecting millions of Americans and posing a significant public health challenge, and whereas February has been designated as American Heart Month and serves as a crucial time to raise awareness about heart disease, promote prevention strategies, and encourage healthier lifestyles, and whereas heart disease is largely preventable through education, early detection, access to good health care, and the adoption of healthy habits such as physical activity, balanced nutrition, and avoiding tobacco. And whereas the Heart Society of Gaston County, a local independent organization, has been a proud partner agency of the United Way of Gaston County since 1982. And whereas the Heart Society has been at the forefront of efforts to improve heart health in our community through education, direct assistance to individuals in need, and support programs that empower individuals to make heart-healthy choices. And whereas the Heart Society's Medication Assistance Program has provided life-saving medications to individuals in need, ensuring that financial barriers do not stand in the way of critical treatment. Whereas the Heart Society's annual fundraising initiatives, including the Heart Ball, the Heart Walk, the Open Heart Golf Tournament, help sustain Heart Society's mission to increase awareness of heart disease, to promote heart-healthy lifestyles, and to provide services to local heart patients. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners proclaim the month of February 2025 as American Heart Month and proudly recognizes the Heart Society of Gaston County for its outstanding contributions and steadfast commitment to promoting heart health and prevention awareness for all residents. The board further encourages Gaston County citizens to prioritize their cardiovascular health and work towards a future that is free from the burden of heart disease. And this will be adopted later in our meeting on the consent agenda. And if one of you want to step up and have a word, what you want me to do?
Go ahead. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. We're really appreciative of having this month. These two ladies here are really the Heart Society. They do everything we do. Thank you.
We'll now be asking Commissioner Sheehan to come down to present the Sheriff's Office Retirement Commendation to the award service and sidearm and badge of retired Sergeant Yasmin Mackey. Anybody who's with her, please come over and be a part of that. I see a lot of you sitting out there. Come on over. Come on.
Good evening. Whereas Sergeant Yasmin Mackey retired from the Gaston County Sheriff's Office on February 1st, 2025, with 30 years of credible service at the Gaston County Sheriff's Office. And whereas Sergeant Mackey has requested that she be awarded the service sidearm and badge worn during her service with the Gaston County Sheriff's Office pursuant to NCGS 17F-28 and the Board Resolution number 259 dated October 27th, 1983. Now therefore be it resolved by the Gaston County Board of Commissioners that the badge worn by Sergeant Yasmin Mackey and her service sidearm Glock Model 45 be declared surplus equipment. The badge worn by Sergeant Yasmin Mackey be given to her in honor of her service with the Gaston County Sheriff's Office. The service sidearm Glock Model 45 be permanently retired by the Gaston County Sheriff's Office and offered to retired Sergeant Yasmin Mackey at the price of $1. The Gaston County Sheriff's Office is directed to award Sergeant Yasmin Mackey with the service sidearm and badge as specified and worn by her during her service to Gaston County in accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes and the policy of the Board. Be it further resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners expresses their sincere gratitude for the devoted, dedicated service of Sergeant Yasmin Mackey and wish her the best in her retirement to be adopted the 25th day of February 2025.
I'd just like to thank the Lord first and thank everybody that contributed to my successful career, and thank you for the board for recognizing and allowing me to get my weapon and badge, because we really earned this in these times. Thank you.
Sergeant Mackey, I hope that you'll come back and stand at that door a few times, that smiling face that we've always grown accustomed to. But thank you for your service, young lady.
Thank you.
Looks really different.
Going to take a point of privilege. Going to call up Reverend Rodney Freeman from Bountiful Blessings. He had wanted to come and say something to the board. Reverend Freeman.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. My name is Rodney Freeman. I'm Executive Director of the Bountiful Blessings Food Pantry here in Gastonia, North Carolina. And I'm here tonight along with Mark Taylor, Board Member and Treasurer, to extend a sincere thank you to the Gaston County Commissioners for funding our commercial refrigerator and freezer for Bountiful Blessings. We are grateful and thankful for this partnership. Bountiful Blessings was founded in 2004 with 7 cans of food. Fast forward to COVID pandemic in March of 2020, we were approached by the Gaston County Commissioners and asked if we would be willing to expand our services and feed 1,000 people. Prior to that, we were feeding 300 people per week. We rose to the need, and over the past 5 years, which will be coming this March, we'll be celebrating 5 years, we have fed over 650,000 individuals. We are now feeding approximately 63,000 families annually. And last year, we gave out 2.8 million pounds of nutritious food to our community. We accomplished this endeavor with faithful volunteers, community partners, school, churches, and with no paid staff. In 2023, we formed a strong board to address the challenges of the need of the CARES Act funding and to focus on our goals. And Bountiful Blessings identified 2 areas of attention, which was transformational partnerships and fundraising. In 2024, those partnerships flourish. Gaston County provides shower and laundry facilities. DSS, Department of Veteran Affairs, and gyms all use our food pantry as a central location to reach partners, the patrons. From the private sector, Atrium Health has a mobile health clinic on site every Thursday. Food Line Feeds is also a available partner, and Oak Street Health targets our seniors with health care options. This list is not an exhaustive list. We secured over $115,000 in grants on last year, from the Community Foundation, First Gaston Fund, Glenn Foundation, and Civic Local Foundation. We have had a dream of a resource center to house the food pantry and other wraparound services to provide resources to those in the community, in our community. That vision is becoming a reality. The Restoration Center. The projected date of the Restoration Center is the fourth quarter of 2025. The freezer and refrigeration you are funding will allow us to provide more fresh and nutritional foods to our neighbors in need. Again, we want to thank you for your heartfelt thanks, and please follow us on our Facebook and website, which is www.bountyforblessingsfood.com. On March the 16th at 2 p.m., we will have groundbreaking for our Restoration Center, and we would love to have you to come. Thank you.
Reverend Freeman, I just want to say thank you for your commitment to Gaston County with your parishioners and everybody involved. Obviously, we brought the good-looking one today. Paul didn't want to come, so.
Right.
But I wanted, 2020 was a really, really hard year.
Right.
And you guys stepped up and met a need in this community. So just wanted to say thank you to all the volunteers and everyone involved. So thank you.
Thank you.
It is with great pleasure for the Gaston County Commission to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talent, skills, and energies in service to the appointee of one of our many boards or commissions. This type of service is the foundation of citizenship involvement, and the county government is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and certificates of appreciation have been forwarded to them. Register of Deeds, Jonathan Fletcher, Animal Care Enforcement. Annette Carter, Caramount Healthcare. Joey Arthurs, Equalization Review. Blair Gribble, Todd Davis, Gaston County Fire Commission. Aaron Worcester, Local Emergency Planning Committee. Jill Hendricks, Personnel Advisory Board. Kyle Lineberger, Quality of Natural Resources. And Shelley Allman and Jamarcus Mitchell for the Transportation Advisory Board. So thank you to those, and those commitments have been sent forward. The next item is a presentation, is the Gaston Comprehensive Transportation Plan, the CTP update. We'll now ask Ms. Erin Mazul, Senior Planner and Project Manager of RS&H, to please come forward and have our presentation.
Maybe it's not on. So it's on. Yeah, okay, hello, good evening. I'm Erin Musial. I'm a Senior Planner and Project Manager with RS&H. Just quickly, what I would like to cover tonight, so I'm just going to go over our team and then give you a little bit of an overview about what a comprehensive transportation plan is and the purpose, let you know the tasks that we've completed and underway and the next steps, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So again, I'm with RS&H, and our team has a group of transportation planners, roadway engineers, traffic engineers, and graphic designers who are dedicated to helping with this planning process, and we are supported and assisted by Central Atlanta Regional Council, who regularly works with local governments in the area and also leads a lot of regional collaboration in the area. So together, we're really the team who's working on the plan. Just a little bit of background on our experience and qualifications, but we'll learn a little bit more about this as I go, but the Metropolitan Transportation Plan is the plan that the CTP feeds into, and we've developed several of those plans, and so we really understand that relationship between the Comprehensive Transportation Plan and that Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And we've also developed several other similar plans that have all the same components of this plan for other jurisdictions in the region. So, and those components include, visioning and goal setting, a lot of existing conditions and data analysis, stakeholder and public engagement, analyzing alternatives, and we'll also be doing some conceptual designs and cost estimates. So we have a experience in all those areas, and then sort of the bottom row shows what Central Atlanta Regional Council will be bringing to the table with a lot of these regional planning efforts that they've been leading that you're probably familiar with, but land use, through the Connect Our Future and some regional transit planning efforts through Connect Beyond as well. So basically, for those of you who might not be as familiar, or for those of you who are, a little bit of a refresher, but a comprehensive transportation plan is is a long-range multimodal transportation plan. So it represents the community's consensus for the future transportation system. And basically, the plan is a plan that is required by and mutually adopted by NCDOT. So this slide kind of helps to explain how projects move from inception and maybe to construction, and how all the plans kind of relate together. Hopefully, I can explain this quickly, but the comprehensive transportation plan is that first step. It's that envisioning process. It's where you're identifying the needs. It's that starting point that we work from. And so that's the plan that we're helping to assist with. But then that plan kind of feeds into what I just mentioned with the metropolitan transportation plan. And it's at that point, for in your CTP, you're identifying your needs in your projects. And when you take them forward to the MTP, that's when you're prioritizing those projects, and you're adding that element of fiscal constraint that you don't have in a comprehensive transportation plan. So with the CTP, it's a wish list of every need that is out there that's been identified, and then you're kind of scaling that back when you're looking at the MTP to say, what projects do we think, what funding is available, and what projects can we get done with that funding that's anticipated to be available through a certain period of time. And so that the MPO, the Gaston Cleveland Lincoln MPO, is currently updating that plan, and the time frame for that is 2055. So that's the outlook for that. So you envision, you prioritize, and then you implement in your TIP, or your Transportation Improvement Program, which that's the 10-year plan to actually get the projects constructed. And you guys are probably familiar with that, but basically, even though it's 10 years, it's kind of divided into 2 5-year increments, and you've got your delivery STIP, which is the first 5 years, and those are the projects that you can pretty much count on as being funded. And then you've got your developmental STIP, which is the next 5 years out, and those are the projects that NCDOT is working on. So I guess basically to say there's a lot of steps in it. We all know it takes a lot of time to get these transportation projects built, but the comprehensive transportation plan is the first step in moving forward with that process. So again, why we're doing this plan, to have that list of needs identified. So we're looking at the existing needs where we are now, but also looking out to 2055 and anticipating what those needs are going to be in the future, and then recognizing again that long process that it takes to move from envisioning and identifying the plans to getting them constructed. But again, recognizing that this is the first step in a longer process. And kind of oversimplifying this a little bit on the slide, but for purposes of the evening, we can kind of group the steps that it takes to accomplish this CTP into 5 steps. And so that first step is, setting that vision, what are the goals and objectives, doing that existing condition analysis, doing that detailed data collection and mapping, and understanding where the needs lie, and that identification of the study roads. So what roads are we going to focus on in this effort? And then the next step is the conducting of the needs assessment, which is basically creating a list of needs by mode. And so you have your highway needs, bicycle, pedestrian needs, and also public transportation and rail. So coming up with that list of needs by mode. And then the third step is analyzing the alternatives, which again, you for each need that you identify, you look at possible alternatives to address that need. It involves environmental screening and then coming up with the preferred alternative. And then you have the development of the plan, and you'll see a lot of different deliverables that will be presented. You'll have a list of projects. You'll have a map that shows where those projects are within the county. There'll be project sheets that have detailed information about each project. And we'll also be doing a couple of conceptual designs and cost estimates for specific projects that we identify as a part of the plan. And then the last step is that adoption step, and it will be adopted by the county, the MPO, and NCDOT. And so even though this kind of says we're at step one, we've actually completed step one, and we're kind of in between step one and step two, which is moving towards the needs assessment. But for your information, we do have a lot of opportunities to get public engagement in this planning process, and so we do have a public engagement plan that's guiding our approach to getting that engagement, but we will have 2 rounds of public input, and each round will have an in-person and a online component. And so there's a QR code here, but hopefully you guys are aware, and if not, I'm making you aware tonight that we do have a online survey that is live right now. You can access it from the county website or from our plan website, which I'll share with you in a few minutes, but also through this QR code. And so that is open now. A portion of it is closing on March 2nd, but then the rest of it will remain open for another month. So I think I talked with NCDOT today, and we have about 200 comments so far from county residents, but we hope to get your help in letting your constituents know about it and reaching, more people. And just so you guys are aware, we know that there's a lot of other planning efforts underway and happening in the county. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we coordinate with those efforts and to make sure that all the recommendations that come out of all the planning efforts are consistent. So while Gaston County is updating the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, NCDOT is also updating Cleveland and Lincoln CTPs. So we're working with them on those efforts. And then, as I mentioned, the MPO is doing the MTP update at the same time. So we have membership on our stakeholder committee from those groups. And then the county, you'll be hearing a little bit more. They're kicking off, the county's also kicking off a comprehensive land use plan and unified development ordinance update as well. So we are aware of those and making a conscious effort to coordinate and ensure consistency between those efforts. So just quickly, we do have, I don't have a list of everyone that's participating, but just so you know, we have a very broad, large stakeholder committee that represents a lot of different interests and perspectives. So a lot of different people from different county organizations, but also again from the MPO and NCDOT and some other stakeholder like Carolina Thread Trail, and making sure we have representation from all of the municipalities within the county as well as the neighboring counties as well. And so just quickly with our schedule, I'll just point out we do have four stakeholder committee meetings, and we've had one, and our next one is scheduled for mid-March. We do plan to have, again, like I mentioned, the 2 rounds of public input, and we're anticipating our first one in early April with the plan to finalize the plan in the end of the first quarter of 2026. And just for your information, this is the website that I mentioned for the plan, gastonctp.com. So this is where we will be posting updates along the way as we move through the plan, so that's where people can access any online engagement. We'll have meeting summaries and just other information, and there's the opportunity to submit questions or comments through the website as well. And our study area, again, it's the entire county, but it's the unincorporated and incorporated parts of the county. And then, as I mentioned, NCDOT is also updating Cleveland and Lincoln at the same time. And collectively, all 3 counties make up the MPO planning area. So basically, what we've completed so far, we have the branding, so we have the logo, we have a flyer, and we have some information that we're going to use consistently as we feed out information to the public. We've done an extensive policy and plan review at the local, county, state, and federal levels. So we've looked at, local bicycle and pedestrian plans all the way through federal policies. So we've done that review. A data analysis and verification, so we have 10 or 15 different existing conditions map looking at crash data, environmental features, traffic volumes, traffic congestion, all those things we've taken into consideration. The stakeholder committee has developed a vision statement, which is shown on the screen, and we finalized the roads that we'll be focusing the study on, and as I mentioned, we've held one of the 4 stakeholder meetings, and we do have another one scheduled in March. So underway tasks, the community understanding report, it's basically just a compilation of the existing conditions, so it's a lot of different data and mapping. And we also do stakeholder interviews to make sure we have specific input from police, EMS, that might be important information to influence where the recommendations occur. So that's a big component. And I mentioned the online survey that's currently live. And we've also, it says existing CTP, but we've also looked at the CTP, the MTP, and the STIP, all 3 of those plans I had to see what projects are already kind of planned and on the books, and to help kind of serve as a starting point for where we build off of for this plan. And then the next steps, what we'll be doing is the deficiency analysis. So what we're doing is looking at the volume of traffic on the roads and then the capacity of those roads in existing and in the future years, so we can identify those roadways that are over capacity. And so that'll be kind of our starting point for our needs list of where we kind of want to focus, where we're identifying those alternatives and those project needs along those areas. And again, developing a list of needs for each mode. And then, like I mentioned, our first of the 2 public meetings, which will be part of the Get to Know Gaston event that's coming up on April 3rd. I think it's 4 to 8 p.m., but we'll be doing some more extensive advertising for that event coming up. Hopefully I met the time limit, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board at this time? I think Commissioner Fraley has a few roads he'd like to put on that. Well, Commissioner Kieger.
Thank you, first of all.
Sure.
And just, I don't know if you can answer this, maybe give it a shot, but
Okay.
as far as our transportation, the comprehensive plan for Gaston County and the very immediate area outside the county, what have you heard or learned about what Helene may do to us with regards to getting the funding that we've been anticipating?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. That's a good question, because one of the things, I'm also involved in this agency organization called Women in Transportation Seminar, and we were supposed to have with the snowstorm, I think it was last week, but a presentation from NCDOT on all the updates of where we're at with Helene, but that got postponed with the snowstorm, so that's a good chance. It got rescheduled for in March, so that's a good question that I could raise to relate it to this plan, but I don't know the answer to that right now off the top of my head, but we can certainly make sure we get that addressed.
In your professional opinion, don't you think there'll be some effect?
Well, I mean, I think we were already seeing a lot of,
Have they taken money back from projects that they've allocated to us?
no, not at this time. I think that there's funding issues already there before Helene, so that probably, I think those are separate pots of money and different approaches, but I still think that's a very fair, real challenge, separate from Helene.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am, for your
Thank you,
time. And we do
appreciate it.
appreciate, Juan, thank you for all your assistance with this as well. Next item on the agenda is other matters. Any other matters need to come before the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll go for adjournment for the first session, which is, this concludes the rescheduled work session for tonight. The regular meeting will convene immediately. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please remit those to Donna S. Buff at 704-866-3196. We are now into the regular meeting, and I will now call the February regular meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is public hearings. The commission will take citizens' comments for 2 public hearings tonight. Comments will be taken on the following. Condition REZ 192 and condition REZ 193. Before we begin the hearing, let me outline the rules. Procedure and the hearing. Citizens wishing to make comments will be asked by the chair and recognized to step to the microphone and make their comments. Citizens will take their name and address for the record. Comments will be taken up to 3 minutes tonight. All questions shall be directed to the chair for response. The chair shall now rule on all points of order. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor? We are now into public hearing. Commissioner Cloninger.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make the following motion. At the request of a developer and to prevent staff from having to re-advertise the zoning case, I move that we postpone the zoning case REZ-24-20-009192 to a regularly scheduled board meeting on March the 25th, 2025.
Motion made by Commissioner Cloninger, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. We'll move to the second one. Mr. Goldberg, we have no statement, but you do recognize that we'll be moving that to the next meeting. The Gaston County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing, conditional district REZ-193, Matha Pravne. Thank you. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Planner 2, Building and Development Specialist Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-24-10-11-00-193 is a conditional rezoning request for PID 181746 on Quezon Street in Belmont. The applicant is Meta Pravna, and the property owner is TMB Realty LLC. The request is to conditionally rezone from the R1 Single Family Limited with U.S. Urban Standards Overlay to the CD RS8 Single Family 8,000 square feet Conditional District with the U.S. Urban Standards Overlay. The subject property is located between Belmont and Mount Holly city limits in the northeastern portion of the county. The ortho photo shows the current parcel is 0.8 acres and 5 existing residential dwellings are on site. According to Gaston County tax records, each house was built in 1942 and is considered a legal non-conforming site, as all 5 homes are on one single parcel and have existed like this since at least the 1963 tax maps. The ortho photo shows the surrounding area and consists mostly of single-family homes. There's some industrial uses mixed throughout. The Piedmont and Northern Railroad is located along the western side of the parcel as well. The zoning map shows the subject parcel is zone R1 Single Family Limited. The parcels surrounding are also R1 and RS20 across the street. The parcels in white here fall under either the City of Belmont or the City of Mount Holly zoning jurisdictions. This map shows who was notified for tonight's public hearing. Mail notices and a sign was placed on site on February 10th, all in accordance with general statutes. So far, staff has not received any calls or inquiries about this request. And this list shows the information of those who received the notices. This slide shows the proposed site plan. The current property owner would like to subdivide the lot into 5 individual lots, parceling out each home. However, with the current zoning district of R1, which is understood to be the default zoning district of Gaston County, the new lots would be unable to meet the minimum standards found in the UDO. Therefore, the applicant is pursuing a conditional rezoning district to accommodate the existing features on site while balancing the new base zoning district requirements of the RS8 Single Family 8,000 square feet district. If the applicants were to subdivide under the current zoning of R1, the minimum lot size requirement would be 20,000 square feet, given each home is served by one public utility. With the proposed RS8, the minimum lot size is 8,000 square feet. The applicant is proposing a 7,387 square foot minimum lot size in the proposed conditional district, and this is noted as an area of relief. In RS8, the minimum setbacks required are a 30-foot front setback, 7-foot side setback, and 20-foot rear setback. Given the houses are all existing, the applicant is proposing to utilize the current front setback of the home closest to the right-of-way line as the district's front setback, which is 14 feet. This is shown on Lot 5 on the site plan. The applicant has strategically placed all side lot lines so 7-foot side setbacks for the homes could be met, and all of the properties meet the 20-foot required rear yard setback. This table shows the 4 areas of relief. These include lot size, lot width, front setback, and side setback on a corner lot. The minimum lot width within this district is 60 feet, and the applicant is proposing 50-foot wide lots. The front setback across all zoning districts is 30 feet, and the applicant is proposing 14. Lastly, the minimum side setback is 7, with an additional 10 feet for sides that abut a public street, which would total 17 feet. The applicant is proposing a 0-foot side setback on a corner lot, given the current home sits right on the right-of-way line. For utilities, the site is served by the City of Mount Holly for water and are on private septic systems. If approved, staff will work with the Environmental Health Department to determine the exact location for the septic systems. Septic easements may be required to be added to the final plat depending on their locations. We see this often when septic systems cross property lines. We've added this as a condition of approval for tonight's rezoning request. As for streets, the site fronts Cason Street, which is an NCDOT maintained street. The Gaston Cleveland Lincoln MPO reviewed this project on January 15th and provided the following comments. No funded transportation improvement projects are in the immediate vicinity according to the STIP, MTP, and CTP. The CTP shows recommended multi-use path facilities improvements along the Piedmont and Northern Railroad and pedestrian facility improvements along Cherry Street and Cason Street, all of which are unfunded at this time. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this project on Wednesday, January 15th, and had no comments at this time. The applicant advertised and held 2 public information meetings as required by section 5.16 of the UDO. The meetings were held on January 13th and January 15th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Conference Room 3 of the Gaston County Administration Building. There was 1 attendee on the first day who had general questions about the case, and he raised no concerns, and no residents attended the second meeting. While reviewing this request, we have provided a list of recommended conditions of approval for your consideration this evening. For the record, these conditions are septic easement agreements must be recorded and shown on the final plat prior to final approval. Any uses allowed in the RS8 single-family zoning district would be permitted in accordance with standards and regulations as adopted in the UDO. Accessory structures are permitted in accordance with section 9.9 of the UDO, and minor modifications are permitted in accordance with section 5.15 of the UDO. As an overview, this property falls under Area 3, Riverfront Gaston, Northeast Gaston, Small Area Plan of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Key issues for citizens in this area include the preservation of open space, road improvements, increased job opportunities, and maintaining the rural feel of the area. The future land use is suburban development, which consists of significant single-family residential areas that exist around commercial pockets representing a standard suburban center. The Planning Board heard this request at its February 3rd meeting and recommended approval by a unanimous 8-0 vote based on this is a reasonable request and in the public interest and is consistent with the goals of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, as it will maintain the single-family residential area as envisioned by the suburban development land use designation. With that, Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you or the board may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any comments from the applicant at this time?
Do you
Wish to speak, sir?
Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
No problem. Any citizens wishing to comment on this matter at this time? Seeing any questions from the Board of Commissioners? If there are no additional comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning Board had unanimously recommended approval. Is there a motion to approve this? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Mr. Goldberg, if you please provide a consistency statement to the clerk for the record, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
This concludes tonight's public hearings. We will now move forward with that. The agenda for the approval of the business agenda. Are there any revisions to the business agenda or any items that need to be pulled at this time? I have one item that the manager has requested to be removed from tonight's agenda, which was item Q from the consent agenda, and that was the transfer some government, general capital funding to the Community Investment Fund. That's the only item pulled would be Q. Do I hear a motion to approve the business agenda with item Q pulled from the agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Fraley. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Approval of the minutes. You were provided a draft minutes for the regular meeting of 12/10/2024, closed session of 1/7/2025, regular meeting of 1/28/2025, closed session 1/28/2025, and closed session 2/11 of 2025. Are there any revisions or anybody know anything that needs to be represented or changed in the minutes presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Sheehan. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The next item is citizens' recognition. A portion of our meeting is for citizens' recognition. The board's agenda is set aside for the purpose of allowing citizens the opportunity to offer comments and suggestions. This comment period is not intended to require the commission or staff to answer any questions or provide a response. Questions requiring a response shall be answered as soon as possible through the county manager's office. Citizen recognition tonight will be limited to 3 minutes, and I will call your name. You please step to the podium, state your name and address for the citizens' comments. First citizens to speak tonight is Ms. Sally Hendrick.
Evening, County Commissioners. Thank you for letting me share. My name is Sally Hendrick. I live at 3580 Lismore Lane in Gaston, near the airport. I've lived in Gaston County since 1992. I am a voice. I am a voice for Kenny, who sits at the bench at the Rotary Pavilion. I'm a voice for military Michael, who served our country. We've been friends since last fall. I check on him often. Affirmative is his answer. I'm a voice for Marjorie, who's thin and taller than me. Took me several stores to find jeans that were 6 tall. I'm a voice for Bill Gates, that's his street name, who came to the cold water shelter with torn gloves and frozen hands. I'm a voice for Ron Hill. He's my buddy who died last fall. I kept his worldly possessions when he spent the night in the hospital. I'm a voice for Star and RJ, who sleep at the shelter often. Star's pregnant with a baby boy. And lastly, I'm a voice for Mitch, who I met at the point in time count. His encampment was on Shannon Bradley Road. He's been on the street for 6 years. He was dropped off at the age of 12. I'm here to be a voice, maybe a bridge, between Gastonia City and Council, local governments, and my friends who are experiencing homelessness. I haven't always been a voice. I'd say about a year ago, I used to drive by the homeless and wonder if I gave them any money, what would they do with it? Would they buy drugs? Would they buy alcohol? I'm glad I'm not that person anymore. Now I look to see if I know them. I look to see if their pack is too heavy. I look to see if they have gloves, a coat. I wonder if they know about the cold weather shelter at First United Methodist Church. I'm also a voice in the faith-based community. I suggest ways to help in a productive manner. But let's talk about my voice tonight. I'm coming on their behalf to ask for a locked door, a safe place, for a way to get out of a trapped lifestyle. You might ask, why a locked door? It's a safe place to truly sleep, a place out of the elements, a place to keep their belonging. It's got to be exhausting to carry all their worldly possessions with them or hug them all night long in a shelter. But it's also a place for families to stay together safely. Parents could have a worry-free night. A meal would be nice, but a locked door would be better. So what am I actually asking? We need to establish a shelter. Not a cold weather shelter, though that's been a great short-term solution, but a 24/7, 365 shelter. Here's my dream. Locked doors for families with bathrooms, locked doors for men, locked doors for women, showers, bathrooms, laundries, clothing supply rooms, meeting rooms, computers, TVs, board games, common dining room, and a kitchen. But spaces for businesses and ministries who support caring for the unhome. Maybe a healthcare agency, health support agency, job recruiting, legal counsel, drug recovery programs. I also see small housing units that are maybe short-term for 30-day transitional housing. I want to be a voice of hope. I want you to hear my voice. I want to help my friends and everybody have hopes of dreams. I want this to be a reality, but I'm willing to put action to my words. I leave you with a thought. I pray that in February 2026, we're not at a temporary warming shelter, but at a permanent facility, or we've broken ground on one, or we're renovating a facility. I leave with you one question. What can you, as county commissioners, do to help make a permanent shelter, a place with a locked door, happen? Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Ms. Michelle Jarbo. Did I say that right? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Jarbo. I live at 1845 Chapman White Lane in Lincolnton. I was a long-term resident of Gaston County, despite I just moved several years ago. We are here tonight to ask questions about the homeless situation in this county and what the plans are to fix it. I have volunteered at the cold weather shelter at First United Methodist Church in Gastonia the past 2 months. I've gone out with Wheels of Blessings, delivering meals and clothes, and I volunteer at Bountiful Blessings, Dr. Rodney Freeman's mission. The First United Methodist Church, pastors Melissa and Justin Love, and the co-directors of the shelter, Teresa McDonald and Mike Fox, and all the many volunteers have done an amazing job making the cold weather shelter a success, but it's not sustainable. My question, what's going to happen when it gets really hot this summer? Where are they going to go? Many of us have talked to and have gotten to know these street people, and I've seen firsthand what they're going through. They deserve better. A homeless man by the name of Ron Hill, who died on the streets behind St. Mark's in November, commented to a Will of Blessings volunteer before he died, "Just give us a safe place." They get their belongings stolen all the time. No wonder they don't trust anybody. An 83-year-old elderly lady named Suzanne lived in a shack on Union Road, also died recently. Lucky for her, she died in the hospital, but she lived in a shack. A 73-year-old woman named Linda, who was in a wheelchair, was discharged to the cold weather shelter from the hospital in January, where she was treated for pneumonia. Imagine being elderly and sick living on the streets. I could not believe she was not placed somewhere. I believe she also has cancer. Some of the people who come to the shelter were displaced from Helene. They work and sleep in their cars. Other shelter guests are suffering with stage 3 to 4 cancer, and that's the truth. The last night the shelter was open, they had 69 guests. Where are they now? What about the children who are affected by homelessness? I heard the number was close to 700. Families living in their cars behind the library, proof that there's a huge lack of affordable housing and easily reached resources. In 2023, there were 388 unhoused people in Gaston County, 65 of which were veterans, a 94% increase from 2022. The 2025 numbers are still pending, but it could double again. At this growth rate, it is critical that the city and the county get involved at the highest levels, working in concert with the over 40 to 50 grassroots volunteer agencies that work to support the unsheltered. Doesn't the county have land that can be allocated for a permanent shelter? We've heard about the Pastel Hotel on the highway in Bessemer City. I heard that was being considered as a transitional housing. Is that still the case? We are stuck in crisis mode, offering them a Band-Aid by keeping them from freezing and starving to death. But we can do better. We need more affordable housing with no strings attached. We need more social services that can be accessed in one place. We need day shelters so they can clean up, wash their clothes, and look for jobs and safely stash their belongings. We asked the city council last week where they stood on the following. The $2.8 million HUD grant that was awarded in 2023 as a Home American Rescue Plan to help reduce homelessness and increase housing stability which is supposed to expire at the end of March 2025. That's next month. The American Rescue Plan of 2021, which allocated $5 million to home participating jurisdictions. Not quite sure what that means. Also, the $115,000, the City of Gastonia Consortium Annual Action Plan, the target date for that to be used is June 30th, 2025. We need answers by all our elected officials to these questions, and we need more transparency. There's a huge gap between what we are providing has a Band-Aid for the homeless and what has been approved and is just sitting there. We have all read about the 10 positions from the Community Support Services Division that were eliminated in November to save money at what human cost? The homelessness and opioid issues that were under this division have been moved to Health and Human Services. Is that the most efficient way to solve the homelessness issue in the county? How many people will be working on this issue at the county level? Can you address that? We need the trifecta to work together. By that I mean the City Council, the County Commissioners, and the community of organizations, volunteers who are already doing the heavy lifting. These people are human beings who need our continued support, not just Band-Aids back on their, and they need help to get back on their feet as soon as possible. I think many of us who have worked at the shelter go home at night and think about where these people are going to go tomorrow. They get asked to leave the shelter at 6 a.m. because, they have to, because of the way the church goes. But where are these people going to go at 6 a.m. when it's 10 degrees outside or 18 degrees outside, and all day long when it's raining or snowing? That affects us, and we think about that all the time. So this is a problem that we all need to solve. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to, if you guys could hold your applause, that way I can just try to get through, because I don't want to make sure, but Seth Pills, is that correct? Seth Pills? Thank you.
Hello, Board of Commissioners. My name is Seth Pills. I live on Union Road by the Food Line and there in Neil Hawkins. And I want to talk about the need for attainable housing, crisis emergency shelter overnight, and a closed door, as Sally said. I work at the shelter in Charlotte, roof above, the main one there at the ministry called Room in the Inn. And about every night we see about 60 people come in, and we allocate them as an overflow shelter to different churches. And in the beginning of this cold weather season, Liz Kelly, who is the executive over that shelter, talked about how many unhoused people are there in Charlotte. Throughout a year, it's about 7,000. On any day, it's about 3,800. And also talked about the point in time count, where they counted about 387 or 378 chronically unhoused people. So that means most of the people in Charlotte are actually getting out of homelessness. They're in it only temporary because there are systems in place to help them. And they're doing a pretty good job in that the chronically unhoused is only a small margin of the here to Gastonia, where I live. And I go to the overnight shelter, which there is always 60 people who walk there because there's not a good bus system for them, especially with people without phones. I hear of 150 people that were, left out of an encampment. I see people on every corner. And then I know that there is no attainable housing for them. There is no emergency shelter for them. And Charlotte is just growing. I used to work at the Esquire Hotel here, and every day there'd be someone who's a real estate prospector looking because the price of housing is going up. But there's no affordable housing for people. So more and more people who grew up here, worked here, are being forced out. And the people who are unhoused, they're not from somewhere else. They're our neighbors. Many of them are veterans who fought for this country. Many of them worked in the old textile mills at the Firestone plant and so on. And now our city and our to care. So the fact isn't that people of Gastonia don't care, and if it's a deal of, oh, we don't want to spend taxpayer money, the money is going to end up being spent on police presence, on cleanup, on other things that are just trying to be Band-Aids or control instead of actual help to people to help them when they fall. Because we all fall and we all need help.
Becca Hurd, you'll be next, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Becca Hurd. I live at 654 Harper Lane, Gastonia, and I'm coming to you tonight, as I did last week, to the City of Gastonia council members and all these others before you, to ask for your positions of leadership to help guide our county to become a great place for all people, even the least of these. I have been volunteering with a cold weather shelter since it opened up this season. I commend the efforts made by our volunteers to etch out their own guidebook, and for the county to step up and provide the funding and orchestrate the volunteer signups at the beginning of the season. Now, there are plenty of people that will complain that the homeless are messy, they're addicts, they've made their own choices, and they should live by them. There are people that have been affected by COVID and who have lost their homes in Helene. But anyone who knows poverty knows we are only all a few paychecks away from things falling apart. Rents keep increasing and food prices are increasing. And our friends have these stories. Some of them have been homeowners, paying property taxes. If you're just starting out, there is no way you can choose to live on your own unless you have some help. Did you know that you need to make at least $21 an hour to live in a 2-bedroom apartment these days? I know I couldn't have afforded that coming straight out of school. So unless these friends are given housing first to rebuild their lives, they will continue to be the recipients of services instead of contributing to fund them. We have all been in trouble before. How many times did you make a bad choice and by some miracle of status or neighborhood, family or wealth, mercy or forgiveness, did you get a chance to restart? All I can say is that it's not our place to judge, and if we are living the way that many of us who describe Christianity should, these are the least of these. These are the modern day lepers. These are people that people are scared of. A lot of people want to help but don't know how. And I know people don't like the litter or the folks sleeping along the sidewalks and benches, and I know this does not look great for our growing county, our restaurants, the new apartments, the downtowns in all the municipalities. But our cold weather shelter only helps the people that can walk there, or maybe ride a bike, or get a ride via GEMS. Our problem extends far beyond the city of Gastonia. There are people everywhere, in Cherryville, Lowell, Dallas. We have folks that need help all over. So I want us to continue to be great, but not just for some. We can be great for the people who have lost their way and fallen off the wagon. We can invite the programs that solve problems of creating work and creating housing. We need to see how programs like Thistle Farms in Nashville has created housing and job opportunities of getting women off the street. More Place in Charlotte provides housing first. And we have the resources here, like others have stated, but we need to coordinate and communicate. If not, we will continue to face the problems we see now, and I imagine that they will continue to get worse if we do not take action soon. So can we expect a permanent shelter in 2026? Let's get this figured out together.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda with item Q pulled to another agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kier. Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Item Q was pulled from the consent agenda to another agenda down the road. The next item was appointments. Commissioner Fraley.
I have two, Mr. Chairman. Gaston County Housing Board, Jamie Cabergaloo, and Transportation Advisory Board, Claudette Arbright.
Second. Seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Sheehan.
I have two, Mr. Chairman, for reappointment. Animal Care and Enforcement Advisory Board to a Ms. Renee Coleman, and Gaston County Board of Adjustment to a Mr. Tim Bowen.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, have one reappointment. It is Mr. Chuck Ballard to the Gaston County Board of Adjustments.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Cloninger.
I have a reappointment for the planning board for Mr. Michael McGee.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Hovis.
I have none, sir.
Commissioner Kieger.
Not this evening.
I have one for the Transportation Advisory Board for a vacancy application received by Billy Marsh.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. I have one for the full board, which was the QNRC application received from Robert Buckles.
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. I have one full board chair appointment, the NCACC, Commissioner Bob Hovis to be that delegate in voting. I want to make sure, since it expired, I want to make sure we went ahead, and I think we did that before, but I want to make sure we had that on the record, Madam Clerk. Any discussion for Commissioner Bob Hovis? Was seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Hovis, for volunteering for that. Reports, Commissioner Fraley. Commissioner Sheehan.
Don't really have a report, Mr. Chairman, but I do have an update. I'm sure, as most of us are aware, we all try to attend multiple events as we have time and so see fit. I had the pleasure Saturday of attending two that were very impactful. The first of which was the Polar Plunge benefiting the Special Olympics, which I think we all would agree is a fantastic organization, and that was a fantastic time. Had a great showing from law enforcement. Appreciate you gentlemen showing up. No, I did not polar plunge. There was not enough water there to refill the pool had I jumped in. But that was a great time. The second was, there was an open house for Camp Centurion. And I've got a couple pamphlets here I would love to pass out to the rest of the board. If you haven't toured that facility recently, I would highly encourage you to go. That is a fantastic organization. They provide interim housing for veterans in our county. And they have remodeled their facility recently, and they have done a bang-up job. It is a top-notch, world-class living arrangement. They currently house just single men. They have future plans to expand that to include women and families. And thoroughly enjoyed my time there. His contact information is on that flyer, so if you haven't gone, please do so. They're doing some good things in the county. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I had one question. Was Chief Deputy White one of those ones who did the polar plunge?
That was Elvis himself, sir.
I just wanted to make sure because I know he's out there. But thank you guys for putting that together. Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, I just actually have a statement, if you don't mind. In the past few weeks, I've gotten a few emails and texts and phone calls about some of the situations that we have with our new administration in Washington. And what they're requesting is for us to not allow law enforcement or DHS, or Department of Homeland Security into schools, or teach the children that are from illegal immigrants how to avoid them. Okay? I have an issue with that. I've been in the military for over 20 years and law enforcement over 30 years. I have sworn an oath to the Constitution to uphold the United States Constitution probably about 10 or 15 times throughout my career. We have a new administration. They're going to go by state and federal laws. Everybody that has a question about people entering the schools, DHS, and I've contacted them. They said they have no desire to go into any schools unless they have proper documentation. I was elected into this office to help cut the taxes in Gaston County, to help the citizens of Gaston County stay safe. And I feel that everybody on this board has that same mandate. What I'm saying tonight is for me. It's not from the board. If the board feels the same way, that's great. I appreciate it. And I actually support legal immigration in this county. I always have. I have a number of friends that have come here from other countries, and they're thriving, they're doing well, they're business owners, and they're working hard. I wasn't expecting any different from them. They actually, most of the ones that I know, have given me a lot of support while I was running for this office. And 3 months into it, I'm still learning. But one of the things that I haven't forgotten is my oath of office, and it's to the taxpayers of this county. We have a duty to cut taxes, make it livable here for the citizens of this county and the citizens of this country. I think law enforcement, government entities, everybody in DHHS, the health departments, need to familiarize themselves with state and federal laws concerning illegal immigrants and how to deal with them. I'm very compassionate about them. I feel for them. The ones I feel most for are the children, because they didn't ask to be brought into this situation. But everybody is wanting to make the governments and the law enforcement the bad guys. And I'm not pointing fingers, but the people that need to be held accountable are the people who brought those children here, or if you come here illegally. One of the things I listened to on the last couple of days on the news, the current administration is asking people, if you're here illegally, to go back to your country and start the legal process. That's what I'm asking the people in Gaston County. If you're in this county and in this country illegally, I ask you to do the same thing. I ask you to go back to your country of origin respectfully and do the process legally. And I also ask the law enforcement, county police, sheriff's office, all your local communities, abide by the rules, abide by the laws. I do request that we do work with the Department of Homeland Security at any and all levels, because they're, from what I've been reassured by a number of them that I know. Actually, my nephew works for them, and I've talked to some of his bosses, and they said they're not going to break any laws. They said anything that they do in Gaston County, they'll have paperwork for. So rest assured, if there's a problem with that, we need to handle it. But if not, go by the paperwork. Okay. I do care for the children. We're looking at some areas. I know on state and federal levels, questions with the children. I do have concerns for that. So, Mr. Chairman, it's one of those things that I needed to get off my chest, because I'm all for legal immigration. But just when people come into the country illegally, they're breaking federal law. So,
I think we've talked about that at length as well. So if you want to repeat your statement about the DHHS, they're in the schools with that. You want to repeat what you said so everybody knows that again?
What
they're not in the school.
Right.
Right. And so that's one of the things that, our conversation we had. So thank you for bringing that back up to have that. Commissioner Cloninger.
Chairman, I have no reports.
Mr. Hovis.
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Keeger.
Well, I will just briefly mention that several of us attended the annual Lincoln Day dinner. And I just want to point out that the National GOP Chairman, Michael Watley, was the keynote speaker. And I think they had a crowd of about 230 people. So it was a very nice event.
Heard they had a great guy trying to auction off some hats, too.
Screaming so loud.
I'll take the last point of privilege here. I want to thank staff for all your hard work. Obviously, that's all that's left in here for what's going on for the budget. Matt, thank you for putting that together. Thank you for allowing some of the commissioners in order to be able to set in on that. It's not really not usually something we've done in the past, but I think it's been retrofit to where we can make it happen and do things. I hope that the presenters who came in and did that got to see some interaction with things and what's going on. We're going to continue to strive in this county to be efficient. As you see at the federal level, people talk about it. In Gaston County, it's really hard to try to put together something like that because of 85% of our mandate budget is mandated. So we're trying to look at that. So I want to thank the commissioners who got a chance to do that. The film will be out this week, I think you said? It's out now, so they can go and watch all those presentations that happen. And one of the things I want you guys to really think about is before you meet, and for the citizens who don't know, this board has met 3 times already on the budget itself. That doesn't account for the hours that these gentlemen in the back here smiling at me because they love their job so much have put into that. And Matt, so thank you guys for your diligent work. We're going to continue the process, but the citizens should know that this board has an individual meeting now that's going to come with the manager to talk about some of the things before he presents the budget to us and what's happening. There are no, I think there was some questions. I did get the Gazette who had hit me up for a few things. So when you see something that's out there in paper right now, it's preliminary. We're still working on a lot of things that have been, countless hours have been put into a lot of the work that's happening, but nothing has been presented. So nothing has been presented to this board, and once the manager does that, I think that's when you'll see a lot of things that happen. But I want to say thank you to the staff for your hard work and the diligence that you put in. Obviously, yes, it's your job, but it's hard to put together something that 7 people are going to scrutinize through the roof. So thank you for that. And with that, I will turn it over to County Manager's report.
Well, thank you. Just really quickly, you may have heard it mentioned earlier, but there is a joint event between the city and the county, Get to Know Gaston event on April 3rd, 4 to 8 at the Rotary Pavilion and the surrounding parking lots around there. So it's a first event that we've done with the city. The purpose of it is to really get citizens to come and be engaged and learn about the services that are offered by the county and the city and how they can connect and be involved and how they can utilize those services, as well as learn about any projects that are going on, not jointly or independently for the city and the county. So we're excited about that. There's going to be food, music, things for kids, touch a truck, and so we're excited about that and look forward to our citizens coming and learning more about what's going on.
Thank you, sir. County Attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a report, but I do think we do have a need for a closed session. I would suggest that the board go into closed session pursuant to section 143-318.11, A 1, 3, and 6, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act.
Do I have a motion to go into closed session? Motion made by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor? We are now in closed session. Thank you. I have a motion to come out of closed session? Motion made by Commissioner Kieger, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor? We are now at a closed session. No action was taken during the closed session. Want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I know I don't have my thing on it. They're trying to tell me, that's what they're trying to tell me by making it so loud. There's Bobby. This concludes our meeting. Our next work session is Tuesday, March 11th at 6 p.m. There was a caveat to that. I hope everybody saw that came out yesterday about the 3 p.m. and the 3A, 1B, whatever. Thank you for watching tonight. If you have any questions, please remit those to our lovely clerk, Donna S. Buff, 704-866-3196. Good night, gavel.